Hello everyone and welcome to the Sunday chat with your hosts Lenny and Rojo. For those who are wondering, these are going to be weekly episodes that are going to be a bit shorter, and we're going to focus on current events, news, stuff that's happening all around the world in a bit of a more concise manner than our other weekly podcasts, just a conversation. And as you've probably seen in the title or guessed from the thumbnail, artwork, depending where you're listening to the podcast, we're going to be talking about some football, Euro 2020.
So welcome everyone. Of course, the main differences between the two is just a conversation is meant to be literally just a conversation between me and Lenny, and the point is to explore and go down the rabbit hole onto whatever we end up speaking about. But in these cases, in the Sunday chat, we'll just be focusing on a very specific topic and running away with it on Sunday, obviously, hence the name. So I think we should just get right into it. So, of course, the four teams that are gone through right now are Italy, Spain, Denmark, and England, which is quite an interesting last four, I would say.
Yeah.
From what I had originally expected, I think.
No, I agree. I mean, a lot of the favorites, especially my favorites, France being knocked out by Switzerland, Belgium not getting past Italy, those were, a bit surprising, but it's welcome. That's what football is about,
Yeah, the Euros have been full of upsets, and honestly, it's been such an entertaining Euro to watch and be a part of the environment of it, right? Mm-hmm. So, of course, me and Lenny shared the same favorites, I would say. We had long-winded discussions about who would win the Euros, obviously, prior. And we always came down to those three teams, which were Portugal, Germany, and France, which ironically, none of the three are there. And it was almost a given that France would get to the semis or even the final. I mean, everyone almost took it for granted to a certain extent. And then, of course, the heroic Switzerland came through and
what a team.
Surprised everyone.
What a team that was. Yeah, the way that they knocked France out was just... that was one hell of a game. And then against Spain, they were so close, but I guess it just wasn't meant to be.
No, definitely. I thought it was quite interesting how... you can tell that the Swiss team as a whole had a pretty clear advantage, which was they knew that in these two matches, they are the upset. So they played their game properly, they played defensively, and they knew how to handle the situation. Of course, huge props to Jan Sommer. For me, he has to be the goalkeeper of the match, no matter of the match, not only, but of the tournament, no matter what happens from now on. That performance against Spain in extra time is unheard of a goalkeeper, especially of his age. So I think he definitely deserves a lot of recognition.
I completely agree. Even Simon, who got the actual Man of the Match award, he said that he'd probably give it to Jan Sommer. So... yeah, but that was definitely one team that really, really surprised me with their performances. The other positive kind of surprise, and I guess it shouldn't even be that much of a surprise, but Italy, they're so strong in this tournament. But if you look at it, it's not even that much of a surprise because they've been unbeaten for the past 32 games. That's not an easy feat to achieve.
It's crazy. Italy is at another level. You'll see later, nearing the end of this little chat, we will say our predictions. But as of right now, I feel like Italy is a very, very strong contender in this Euro, and it has showed repeatedly that not only is it a strong team, but it's a consistent team, and that's something that I feel like teams like France, Portugal, and Germany lacked this time. Which was, in terms of France, it was obviously overconfidence and. And Portugal just didn't have the consistency to be able to deal with Belgium, which ultimately knocked them out. But Italy has shown time and time again that ultimate consistency of not only defeating their opponents, but defeating them in a confident way. And that's something that must be admired for sure. I just wanted to briefly mention as well that, funnily enough, it could actually go home this time. It might actually go home. And for the first time ever... it seems like an actual possibility to a lot of people that the Euros will be going home, as the English say, of course. Um, I feel like, to be honest, England had quite an easy group stage, and then of course the first knockout round was pretty difficult for England, being matched up with one of the favorites, which of course they handled really well. But now it's just been too easy for England since then. I mean, they went against Ukraine, and that was an unfair match for Ukraine. Huge props to
Yeah.
Ukraine for making it to the quarterfinals of the Euros, which is no small feat for a team like Ukraine. Of course, England smashed past them, and now they're going against Denmark. And I feel extremely bad for Denmark, and extremely salty that England would get such an easy pass to the final, to be honest.
I mean, I agree. I agree. I'm not gonna write Denmark off completely yet,
No, of
but I
course, I
mean,
understand what you mean, but at the same time,
I mean,
it
yeah,
feels absurd. The luck that they get in this competitions with their matchups, like it almost seems like someone set it up perfectly for them to get there. You know?
yeah. Plus, I mean, they've been playing home a lot as well, which
Yeah.
is definitely a big advantage. But I mean, speaking of consistency, I mean, England, they've they've really like the way they defend. I mean, the consistency. They've just kept their fifth consecutive clean sheet. You know, this is. I mean, it's a team that I'll be honest. They've impressed me, kind of, because I didn't really. It's just with England, it's always the expectations that kind of kill it. You know, like
Yeah.
they kill the fans as well. I mean, they always expect them to do so well, and I mean, with all the talent that they have, you know, they should do well. And props to them this time around. They're actually doing well, and just like you said, it actually just might be coming home.
No, yeah, and I definitely agree with you that England has been commendable. There's no way to deny that. I mean, they defended perfectly against Germany, even though they seemed like the stronger side during the match, in my opinion. They were the dominant side. However, England managed to keep it locked down, and then of course they escaped at the end very clearly. In my opinion, though, I think England's biggest weakness is Gareth Southgate, but that's just a personal opinion, and it's a matter of anger with me for them not starting my main man Jadon Sancho over Raheem Sterling, which is a old man in my opinion.
I mean, yeah, as a
But yeah,
Borussia fan, it
that's
must be
just
frustrating.
the opinions of a Dortmund boy. Of course,
Yeah,
since then, Sancho has moved to Man United now. But in any case, I think Sancho is an outstanding player, and even Jack Grealish, I would say, is an outstanding player. And the fact
definitely.
that Southgate has to be repeatedly, like begged basically to start these players seems outrageous to me. Even the fact that his choices are so questionable sometimes. Even the England fans are mad at him constantly. Even with their success, I feel like they're still upset by his choices.
No, I mean, of course, I get that, and but that's the thing. We can talk so much about his questionable choices, about the starting 11 that he'll put out, he not using all the young talent that there is. But at the same time, can you really blame him? Because I mean, so far, like he's done a great job. I mean, of course, it might not be that entertaining. It might not be the most positive
No,
football out there,
of
but still,
course.
he is you know on the verge of bringing it home. So
No, definitely. I mean, of course, for me personally, I feel like it's mostly because it doesn't make for interesting football, and that makes me somewhat angry, obviously.
yeah,
Um, but I mean, the thing is, with England, you could tell that they're I mean, Garrett's way of going into this tournament was a very defensively minded
yeah,
sort of, you know, plan of attack, which is that, just hold down and then we will have a moment of, breakthrough. We will ultimately score. And I feel like that's probably a very English way to think about things, knowing that they choke at every other tournament. So I think he's just trying to be very, very careful. Of course, it makes for less interesting football, but honestly, he has been doing a pretty decent job. But I think in terms of appeasing the fans, especially in these two games at least, against Ukraine and um, and against Denmark, he should really just use these games, which are a bit more open ended for England. It should
Mm.
be to you really like have those youngsters have a go,
Yeah, give
and
them a
appease the
chance.
fans.
Yeah,
But it usually doesn't seem that way anyway. But yeah, I understand anything for the W, and I respect it hugely.
definitely.
In terms of Spain, I think they have a very shaky tournament. I feel like very much like France, they have a problem with finding a rhythm in their play, and I
Mm.
think you can tell that from the Spain Switzerland match.
Yeah.
Even though they constantly attack, they just couldn't do that final pass, that final shot. It seems like there is a little bit lacking there, but very much like France, when the moment comes, they just turn on. And like they did in their own 16th round of 16,
Yeah.
they breezed through 5-3 in the end, and huge congrats to them. But to be honest, against Switzerland, I feel like they played pretty poorly, in
Yeah,
my
they
opinion.
struggled. They struggled. I mean, yeah, I
Yeah.
completely agree with you. Like that final third, I mean, they can pass the ball really nicely. They can kind of build these attacks, but it's always those final few passes, like breaking down the defense and just finding the right shot. It's always a bit. They're not that strong in that department, I'd say. I mean, even though props to Morata, he scored some beautiful goals now. I mean, he's scored some important goals as well, but yeah, they don't have that one, particular striker that you could just trust, whenever he got the ball in the right space that he will score it. So,
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I think Spain is missing not only a target man. Of course, Alvaro Morata has had a decent tournament, I would say. I feel extremely bad for him, for the people that, criticize him
yeah.
and go on him just because, he sometimes misses. He's a human, and the fact that he's getting death threats for it is not a world I want to
Yeah,
live in,
that's
and
messed
I
up.
find it
That's.
extremely disgusting by some people to do that kind of thing.
Mm,
But I still feel like, of course, if I was to say or think of an ideal striker for Spain, it wouldn't be Alvaro Morata, in my
yeah.
opinion. Because Spain needs a very versatile striker, I feel like. Not only a person who can finish extremely well, which is Morata's case, I feel like he is a finisher, but
Mm,
also someone who can make plays for other players and set them up. Because a lot of the times I feel like Spain can really pass it well, can keep possession, but when it comes to creatively pushing through to the final third, it always seems like they're struggling to find that last pass.
yeah.
And I feel like they need a striker that is versatile enough to be able to deliver that last
Yeah.
pass.
No, I agree. I agree. S- So,
But yeah, so the last team will be Denmark
yeah.
then. Honestly, huge props to Denmark for making it this far. I
I
I
didn't think they'll
cannot
make it this
believe.
far. Not a
Yeah,
chance.
I never thought they would make it this far. Honestly, for them, it's already a big W in my eyes. And the fact that Christian Eriksen had a huge moment of weakness on the field.
Hmm.
And since then, of course, he has been better. But the fact that the team has still been able to rally and go performance after performance, even after that initial game,
Yeah.
is hugely admirable, and I have nothing for respect for them. However, personally, I think they have a really tough matchup against England, especially because Denmark's play style is usually very similar to England's, which is just waiting for the counter attack or the
Yeah.
pounce.
Hmm.
So it will be a pretty interesting game to watch. I think probably England will be a lot more attackive during this semifinal. Wow, already semifinal.
Yeah.
And I feel like Denmark will sit back and try to hold out, and I think it will be a very obviously England is the clear favorite, but I think it's a
Hmm.
very interesting matchup for sure.
I agree. I agree. I think England will have a lot more attacking possibilities since Denmark usually plays three at the back. So that will give, I don't know, if Sancho starts, he will be able to, create down the
If
wing. Yeah, exactly. If, but, he'll have a lot more space down the wings to create stuff. But we'll see.
yeah,
We'll see. So what are your predictions then for the semi-finals?
Well, like I think I've already hinted towards the fact that I think England is gonna brush past Denmark.
Yeah.
If England somehow managed to choke it against Denmark, I wouldn't be surprised if the Italy-Spain winner ends up being the winner.
Yeah.
And I honestly think even if England goes through, my prediction for the winner is Italy. I think Italy has shown that they are consistently, wrecking any team that's in front of them. I mean, Belgium were one of my clear favorites as well from the beginning, and they've shown time and time again they have the potential to be a strong team. But it has this issue where all of a sudden, and it's something that happened during the last World Cup, I feel like, which is the team just seems to turn off, which is so weird because sometimes Belgium can just be very explosive and attacking in like a matter of few minutes, but out of nowhere, especially against Italy, even though at the end they were trying their best, and kept on attacking and kept on missing, it just feels like they always find it so difficult to win comfortably, I feel like, which is a big problem. And I feel like Italy has shown the contrary of that, and even Spain has shown the same problem as Belgium. So I think Italy will win. If it's England going through, it will be a difficult matchup. I feel like England will just sit at the back, wait them out. Very final style. I think it'll be a very formal final. Very tactical final. It won't be very interesting to watch, probably. I mean, Italy will probably just go out, and then England will like sit back, try to hold them back, in my opinion.
Absorb the
But
pressure.
I still think that Italy is explosive enough to be able to catch on a mistake, and be able to clutch it in the end, especially given all their previous performances. What do you think, Lenny?
I completely agree with you, mate. I think that between Spain and Italy, I think that Italy, I mean, they can defend really well. So, and Spain having those attacking problems, I think that Italy will be able to, maybe not easily, but they will be able to beat Spain and go to the final.
Yeah.
And no matter how much I love Denmark and I'm so proud of them, how far they've come, I think England will be able to quite comfortably go to the final as well. So, England-Italy final, which, as you said, is going to be one heck of a final, very, very tactical. But in the end, I have to agree with you. I think that if that's the final, I think that Italy can actually hold out. I mean, as I said, defensively they're really strong, and they have a lot of young talent as well. Not as much as
definitely.
England, but they do have young players who are absolutely unbelievable. Of course, losing Spinazzola is a huge blow to them. But even with that, I think that they can clinch it in the end.
No, definitely. I completely agree with you, but I think the main difference to note between Italy and England is that England has gone this far in the tournament because they are so defensively focused.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I feel like Italy is offensively focused, but still their defense is so solid. It's so difficult to get through that I think even in those explosive moments when England will find for the counterattack, instead of just sitting back like I think they will be doing, they will find it to be really difficult to break through because Italy, of course, is offensively minded, but at the same time, they are very, very well very well talented in being defensive. I mean, probably the best goalkeeper at the moment right now, Donnarumma, is the Italian goalkeeper. So I wouldn't put it past them to be able to hold out for the England counterattack.
Definitely.
But yeah, anyway, I think that probably is the end of the episode now.
Definitely.
I hope you guys enjoyed. Please let us know what other chats you want us to talk about in the comments.
Do let us know your predictions as well for the tournament if you're watching.
Yeah, of course, and please do subscribe. It helps us, let us know if you really like this content, and leave a like as well. And thank you for listening. Have a good day.